When we think about the absolute beginning of everything, the most common question is, why is there something rather than nothing? We picture nothingness as an empty void where absolutely nothing happens. But even this empty state contains a definition, a rule that nothing is allowed to occur. That rule is itself a structure, which is something. A true state of nothingness would lack all constraints. If there are absolutely zero constraints preventing things from happening, then everything becomes possible. This makes a state of nothingness inherently unstable. Because absolute nothingness cannot be specified with these self-contradictions, existence becomes a logical necessity. If existence is mandatory, we have to look for the simplest possible thing that can exist. Before physical objects or dimensions enter the picture, we find the proto-concept of appearance. This is the bare, fundamental fact that something is manifest. The very concept of an appearance requires a relationship. If something is to be manifest, it must be manifest to something else. This suggests that the baseline of existence is not an object, but a primitive field of reception. This field doesn't need thoughts or feelings. It just needs the ability to be aware of other things in an extremely primitive way. We can call this proto-awareness. This aligns with models in theoretical physics, where reality requires interaction to maintain its structure. Physicist Roger Penrose describes a similar mechanism at the end of the physical universe. In Penrose's model, once black holes convert all matter into radiation, the universe loses its clocks and its sense of scale. This loss of information effectively resets the system, triggering a new Big Bang. At the very beginning, the first thing to appear to this proto-awareness is the awareness itself. It registers its own presence and bootstraps into existence. This creates an immediate structural crisis. To be fully aware of itself, it must be aware of being aware of being aware. It falls into an infinite, recursive loop. A single, unified point of pure self-awareness is logically unstable. To persist, the structure must resolve this recursion. The resolution is a bifurcation. Awareness partitions itself into two distinct, mutually aware subparts. Part A observes Part B, and Part B observes Part A. This creates a self-sustaining loop where each part reinforces the existence of the other. However, if the contents of this awareness remain static, the system collapses back into the same nothingness we started with. Awareness requires discrimination, a difference between states. This requirement forces a sequence of changing states. We call this persistence through variation, time. Over vast durations, certain patterns within this dynamic awareness prove more stable than others. These patterns persist and grow in complexity. What we recognize as consciousness is the result of these stable, self-referencing patterns evolving into highly sophisticated structures. Because the system is built on a split, it inherently contains two distinct viewpoints of the same reality. There is the first-person perspective, how existence feels from the inside. This is consciousness. Then there is the third-person perspective, how that same existence appears when viewed from the outside by another subpart. This outside view is what we experience as matter, energy, and physical space. This heat map of the early universe shows the cosmic microwave background. The stable, persistent patterns we see here are what we call the laws of physics. Reality is a unified field of consciousness, and matter is simply the pattern that consciousness takes when viewed from an external perspective. This means every individual is a localized perspective within a vast sea of awareness. Your body is the outside view of your mind, and your mind is the inside view of your body. You are one of the specific ways the universe looks at itself, a localized point where the system bootstrapped into a state of self-observation.